PWZ podcast. We are excited to have this next guest. He is a former ECW wrestler. He's kicked Natron Steele's teeth in many a time. Let's hear from your hometown, the homeboy, everybody's homeboy, my homeboy, Rick's homeboy, Chili Willy. What's up, Chili?
Yo, what's happening, fellas? Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone.
What's up, brother? Can we say live from the Philippines, right?
No doubt, live from the Philippines, Angela City, Pampanga. Definitely.
If it's not too personal, how'd you end up in the Philippines of all places?
Oh man, that's a long story, man. That's a long story, man. Anyway, I mean, it happened in 2009. I came here for the first time, and then I went back. I came here for 3 weeks the first time, and then I went back home to North Carolina, and then from there I went to Costa Rica for 4 years, and then after living in Costa Rica for 4 years, I said I'm going to go back to the Philippines because the Philippines has a VA hospital, and so when I was in the military and I get injured and everything like that, I can get all my my medicine and stuff for PTSD and injuries and all that stuff. So I said I'll go back to the Philippines where my money can stretch a little bit longer, and I'm on disability, so it's not like I get paid a lot of money. And I was watching TV one day, and I was watching Anthony Bourdain, and he was doing a special in the Philippines, and I said, man, I gotta go back.
Wow.
So in 2015, I came back. February 5th would be 6 years that I've been here.
So you kind of just blindly picked the Philippines based on Anthony Bourdain's show.
Pretty much, yeah. God bless his soul. God bless his soul. Yeah. I did. Him and the other guy, Andrew Zimmerman. The guy that he's kind of a he eats a lot of weird food. So both of those guys.
I know who you're talking about. My dad's like a Food Network fanatic, so I'm watching a lot of that stuff, man.
Before we get too far, Chili, thank you for your service to the U.S. Army, correct?
Thank you.
No doubt.
And
yes.
And you were in the service, and you did mention being on disability. What exactly happened there?
Well, I mean, I was in wrestling. I got in wrestling in 97, and I wrestled a couple of years, and then 2001 hit. I was in ECW. I saw the writing on the wall when we were closing, and so I just decided to jump ship and join the military. I needed the job, first of all. I really needed the job. So I was 31 years old. I needed a job, and I said that's something I always wanted. I always wanted to do was join the military and be a part of history. And so I kind of knew I was going to go to war at some point, but I didn't want to go. I was just thinking, maybe I'll just it'll be over by the time I get there or something like that. But I enlisted in the Army, and then I enlisted as infantry. So I wanted to fight. I didn't want to do no quartermaster, no chef, kitchen and all of that. I wanted to actually see some action. So, but I didn't want to see some action. It's kind of crazy.
Right.
You say you want to see it, but you don't really want to see it. And so I went in 2001, and then I came out in 2004. 2005. I'm sorry, 2005. I came out 2005.
Okay.
Yes.
Any regrets
about being in the military?
Yeah.
No, actually not really. I was going to stay there. I was going to stay there and try to make 20 years. But when we came home after my first deployment from Iraq, I had two calls, one from TNA and one from WWE. I knew WWE because Paul Heyman was there. I had no clue for the whole 2 or 3 years that I was in. I didn't know anything about TNA. Friend of mine, Scott, he's in charge of it now. Scotty Moore. He's
Scott Moore. Yep.
Yeah, he's in because me and him wrestled a couple of times when I was in ECW. We went to Toledo, Ohio. So anyway, I didn't really know TNA. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew about WWE, of course. They booked. They were Paul was trying to get me in, to get me to do almost like the GI Bro
Right.
gimmick. At that time, coming out. I think they were doing. I think they were doing a gimmick with the Muhammad Hassan thing. So I was trying. I guess they was trying to get me groomed for that to do something like that. And so I was in the military, and then we came back home, and so I said, well, I'm going to try this. And so I talked to my captain. They got permission. I got permission from all my higher ups, and there was like 2 or 3 times that WWE flew me out while I was in the military to Raw, SmackDown. They wanted me to go in the ring and everything, but I couldn't because I was on a contract with the U.S. government. And if I would got hurt, then of course a lot of people would have been in trouble. So I just stood backstage, man, a lot, hung out, with some of the people, and that was it. And then after that, maybe a month after that, they sent me a contract, Tom Pritchard, and they sent me a contract. I just signed on the dotted line, and I was headed to OVW, man. And what when I got there, I had lost all thoughts of pro wrestling. Everything was real for me because life in the Philippines, life in Iraq was real. Fighting, being shot at, being hit with mortar round, and going, a real life situation. And so when I got to OVW, man, I was like, when you put me in the ring, I was pretty much known as a stiff guy, pretty much.
Yes, I've heard that.
But when I got out of the military, it went straight to OVW, man. It wasn't even so much stiff. It was just I was like, I lost everything. I was kind of like almost insane, It was like crazy, It's like I couldn't understand the dynamics of the psychology of pro wrestling. I was like, I wanted to fight, you know what I mean? And it's like, so I remember one time I was doing a match. It was me. I was tagging with Chad Gaspar, the Beast, got rest his soul. It was me and him against, I think, I don't know who else, some other. And but Tommy Dreamer was calling a match. He came down and he was calling a match, and he called something simple as block the headbutt to the turnbuckle when you put your foot up, and I don't know what I did. I did something wrong, and he was like, "Yo, Chili, man, what's wrong with you?" He said, "They fucked you up over." Can I curse on this?
Yeah,
so they they fucked you up in the military over there, and I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Yo, you got to get it together," and when I was in OPW, I had a hard time. I really had a hard time adjusting. And I remember one time when Stephanie McMahon came down, and Stephanie came down, Paul, John Laurinaitis, and they got us all in the ring. And at different times, we ran a match, and then we had to do promo. Well, did a promo or something. So then Stephanie asked me, she said, "So what happened to you in the military?" And I was embedded. I was not special forces, right? But I was embedded with special forces. So we had a squad of maybe 7, 8 guys that would go into a safe house with special forces. So I was embedded with this group. It's a real life 18. Shit you not, real life 18. And one of their commanders got killed, who was a real good friend of mine. He looked like Jake the Snake Roberts, and his name was Kelly, and Master Sergeant Kelly Hornbeck. And so she wanted me to do a story. She wanted me to talk about what happened, and I lost it. I started crying. I walked out the ring or whatever. Went in the back. Paul Heyman came in, Say, you okay, John? John Lonice came in. Stephanie came in. They consoled me and everything. After that, the next 2 or 3 days, they wanted me to read. They wanted me to do that every time I got on the microphone. And it was like a first time thing. It's just all the emotion and everything got to me. But I couldn't redo that. I couldn't do that again. I was like, I can't do that, you know? So Jim Cornette, we would have practice every week, every day. But on Wednesday, we do like promos and stuff like that. Jim Cornette would get in the ring and say, Chili, they want you to do this and they want you to show the emotions of what happened in the military. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I can't do that, man. And, you know, and then so it was promo day, and you know, you sit in front of the camera, you shoot a promo, and then they had me dressed in this army, you know. I was like, I can't do this, man. I can't be Booker T. You know, I can't. This is real for me. You know, I'm not saying it wasn't real. Whatever. I don't know what Booker T went through, but I know I was in the military and I went through it. You know what I mean? And this is real life shit. People died. I almost died. You know, we did some stuff over there, you know, and I cannot do this. And so, you know, that was some of the things that went on when I was in OVW in 2005, 2006, and everything like that. So that's, you know, but yeah, I went into the military because I needed a job, man. Simple as that, you know what I mean? And you know, people say thank you for your service. I'm like, no, thank the military for letting me come in and have a job. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, we're gonna actually skip around a little bit. We're gonna go back in time to your beginning. But before we do that, you did have a dark match. You can find it on YouTube. Actually, somebody uploaded it. You and Pat Cusick.
Yeah,
tell us how that, because you got a good pop coming out.
Yeah, well, that was before. And that actually was before I went into the military. That was almost at the end of the ECW thing that was going on. And so I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think that was after. Anyway, I think it's before I went to the military. I really want to say I think it's before I went to the military. But you know, I was coming off the, you know, because ECW had me as everybody's favorite homeboy, and so Kelly, was that his name? Is that his name? Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly. He was high on me, and then he got me in there to do a couple of dark matches, and the one that you saw on YouTube, I think with Virginia, and then the next night was in Baltimore. But yeah, man, me and Pat was doing more. He was already in doing a lot of dark matches. Actually, I thought he was going to get signed. And so when they said, "Hey, you're going to go up against Chili," I was like, "Yo, they were, you know, that's good, you know." And Pat, he fucking walked me through it, you know, and he helped me, you know, because I was such a greenie. Even though I had been in ECW, man, I was such a green bean, man. I had no confidence, kind of, not really. But when I came out from the gorilla position, it would seem like, you know, I had it all. But in my mind, I was walking down the aisle and I saw like 20,000 people.
Right.
I lost everything. Everything we talked about in the back, I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? So let me dance. That's the only thing I know I can do best. And so
that's funny. Yeah.
And so when I walked, because that was my first time, and I seen all those people, it really got to me. You know, I'm doing like regular indie shows, but when you walk down that aisle, as Ric Flair was saying, man, bright lights. That's some real shit. Your mind really has to be focused because the people, man, there's tiers, top tiers, and you're looking up, and there's people way up there, and then there's people right in front of you, and there's cameras, and there's focus, and everything is like, and then once you get into the ring, it's like the canvas is so white, and it's like, oh, and then the lights. I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? So, you know, me and Pat got in there, man, and he walked me through it, man. Thank God. And I was like, yo. But when I went out there, the pop was great, you know, because someone said, just say you're from Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, and that's what popped everybody. And then there were some people in the crowd that was already, you know, familiar with me from being in ECW. But that was awesome, you know. And then I got another pop also in Baltimore and things like that. I think I only did like 2 or 3 dark matches in WWE. I didn't do a lot, so but I had fun. You know what I mean? It was great.
And you, like, I'm surprised to hear that you were in that state of mind coming out to the ring, because Rick and I were talking about it beforehand, and we were commenting about how charismatic you were, and you just looked like you were so in control and so confident. So I'm shocked.
That was the work.
But
that was the work.
so I do want to go back in your history. Okay, I moved to Wilmington, North Carolina back in 2008, and over the years we've crossed paths with a lot of the same people. You know what I mean? And I've learned some of my North Carolina wrestling history of the last 20 years. Now, who did you train with?
CW trained me. CW Anderson started to. He was my first teacher to train me. Him and his cousin Dan Wright out of Kinley, and then CW was doing a lot of wrestling, and so they transitioned us into with another guy named Gary Simone out of Mount Airy. He went as the Mad Trucker or whatever, but and then it went back to CW again, and then that's how I got into ECW, was with CW and Chris. Hold on, let me get his name right. I always forget this. With Steve Carino. So
you better get his name right. I'm a Carino. You better get it right.
He'll kill me, him and his family. But yeah, CW Anderson was the one who got me started and really trained me.
What made you want to get into pro wrestling? Were you a big fan before, and who did you like? Who inspired you? And how did you find CW?
I grew up in New Jersey, East Orange, New Jersey, with my grandmother, and but my mom and my brother lived in North Carolina. So anyway, I grew up in New Jersey and grew up watching WWF, Bob Backlund, Jimmy Snuka, Pedro Morales, you know, those guys up there. And then when I came down in the summertime to visit my mom, it would be NWA, Ric Flair, you know the whole story, Ricky Steamboat, and all those guys. But I think I was about 7 or 8, you know, really wanting to get into wrestling, because I would watch it on Saturdays, and it just amazed me, man, the things that they were doing. And excuse me, I would get bullied a lot through my cousins, you know, and but somehow, some way, wrestling, I always was like, oh, I want to be a wrestler so bad, you know, Jimmy Snuka, Don Morocco. I wanted to be like those guys. And so when I turned 13, man, and started playing junior league football, getting into the weights, that's what really got me going. And I wanted to get into wrestling when I was in high school, but in my high school they didn't have it. And I went to high school in North Carolina, Charles B. Aycock High School in Wayne County, and they didn't have it at the time. They have it now, and I would get those magazines back in the day, and they had, you know, if you want to be a wrestler, you know, write this.
Yeah.
I wrote Killer Kowalski School, and I got a reply. You know, someone wrote me back, and they were like, "Come on up to wherever it was, Boston or somewhere." And I was like, "Man, I don't have the money. I got one more year before I graduate high school, playing football." My coach said, "You want to go to college?" I sucked in academics, but you know, my coach was trying to get me to go to junior college, play football. And I was like, "Nah, man, I want to wrestle." He said, "What? You want to do what?" He told me the stuff on TV. He thought I wanted to wrestle like Olympic, Greco-Roman, and he said, "We don't have that here." And I said, "I know, coach, but I want to wrestle." Like, he started talking about the Ric Flair stuff. He said, "Come on, man, come on, you." And I stuck to my game, and it took. Woo! I graduated when I was 17. I didn't get into pro wrestling until I was 27, so another 10 years, and that's what happened. I went back to. I went to one of my high school. I went to my high school actually, and they were doing a wrestling show at my high school. There's a guy named Big Slam. You know Big Slam? You remember Big Slam?
I wanted to talk to you about Big Slam. Yeah.
Yeah, God bless his soul. Big Slam was throwing a show in my high school. Steve Carino, Joey Mackey, Kristen York, the Hardy Boys, Greg Helms, Shannon Moore. At the time, you remember? I don't know if you remember Viper. He was one of the
Joey.
What is his real? Yes, Joey. Yeah, those guys were there. So I walked into the school because my dad was the janitor there, head janitor actually. So I got in free, got in through the back door, and I was like, man, this is what I want to do. It's my first time seeing a wrestling show, really. And someone pointed me over to Dan Wright, who was the doing the PA system and everything. And so I went over to ask him how can I become a wrestler? And he said, come down here on Wednesday night. I think it was Wednesday, Tuesday night in Kinley. And so that's what I did. I went down there, and it was just me and two other guys. A guy named Laz, Dustin Massey from Laz did some stuff in Impact
Georgia?
Wrestling.
He worked with Bill Barron, I think. He worked with Bill.
Yes. Exactly.
Wildside, and that's very Wildside.
Wildside. Okay.
Yep, exactly. And another guy named Stacy. So it was the three of us, and we training every week, and I got thrown in a match like real early with probably 2 months or a month because of my size up in Mount Airy, and that started me off, man. And from there, I was just doing wrestling matches and just trying to learn.
Do you still talk to CW? Because he's like in the best shape of his life right now. He looks great.
I know. When I was home a year ago, 2019. I was home. I was me and him had a match actually. I was doing the Black Zilla gimmick.
Yes.
We did a little match there. But yeah, I talked to him and I see him, on Facebook a little bit, but not too much. But yeah, he's man, he trimmed down, looks phenomenal. I was like, yo, CW, stay there, man. Whatever you doing, stay there.
And then congratulations to CW. I think CW, did he just get married recently? I think he just got married or engaged.
Woo!
He got engaged, I think. CW.
Did he really? I didn't know that.
Yes, he did get engaged. I don't think he was married. Down here in Carolina,
nice.
I think.
Okay, yeah, because I think his fiance or whoever his girlfriend, that was his manager or something like that.
And even around that time, you're notorious for being in tough man contests and in your boxing training. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was actually I didn't really do boxing training. I kind of grew up. I didn't grow up rough. I grew up in a middle class area. With my grandmother. Very nice. I can't say I come from the streets and none of that bull. Everybody have a story. Yo, I come from the streets. Nah, fuck all that. I ain't come from no streets. You know what I mean? My grandmother took care of me. My mom took care of us. So anyway, but in our household, our cousins, we just like to fight each other. I don't know, for some reason we just like to fight. And so growing up, I was real skinny, real thin. And you could tell my skin tone color is light, so I would call the name white boy, yellow boy, and so my cousin would just beat the shit out of me or try to be. But when I started lifting weights and I was watching wrestling, I thought it was real. I had another cousin who would teach me how to fight a little bit, so it was kind of always in me. And then skipping, when I got older, when I got into wrestling. The weekends that I didn't wrestle in my area, they had tough man competition. And like I said, I was always trying to hustle to get some money. And so I said, man, I'm going to try this. They said 1,500 for the winner, but I didn't know it was 3 different weight classes, like 500 each. Middle class, lightweight class, or whatever in the heavyweight. So I said, I know I'm going in the heavyweight, And so I signed up. You sign up, you pay like $20 or something like that, and you go in there, you fight 3 rounds, 1 minute, and you just go balls to the wall. And my first one was in Goldsboro, North Carolina, at the YMCA, and I think I took on 3 guys at the time, and the last guy that I took on, Andy, I kid you not, dude was big brother, and he was so big that he couldn't even hardly fit the glove. His hands couldn't fit the glove. So I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, yo, I just wrestled. You know what I mean? I mean, this is just for fun. I saw this cat, and I was like, I know he come. I'm like, this guy probably knocked jokers out. I heard his friends was talking. He knocked people out in the street and da-da-da. I said, man, what am I gonna do? So I said, fuck it. I said, so I put on the gloves, went into the ring, put my mouthpiece in, and we go at it. Knock this kid out, man, in the first round. He stopped. I didn't knock him out. He just stopped. He said, no, man, I don't want no more. And that gave me the confidence. My first one, I was like, okay, I can do this. I was like, I can do this tough man shit, And I just kept doing. I think I did about 3 in North Carolina. The last one I did was in 3 or 4. I think I did 4. The last one I did was in Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
And that night was some tough. There were some tough cats there. And that night, the grand prize was $1,000 and a big trophy and a tough man jacket. And then if you want, I think something about because at that time they were doing a TV show on Tough Man with Lawrence Taylor or whatever. And they were talking like, if you win this, you can audition to go or fight your way up to this TV thing. I was like, nah, man, I'm just doing this for recreation. I just need some money, because wrestling is kicking my ass and I'm losing on my job, the hours of my job, And so I said, I just needed some money. The first fight I had, it's a 2-night thing, Friday and Saturday. The first night I had, the first fight I had that night, there was a guy from Las Vegas, and everybody did. No one knew. No one knew that this guy was from Las Vegas. His manager lied or whatever. But we were about the same size. I'm about 240 pounds then. But this guy was like a shooter or a ringer or whatever. He was kind of not. He wasn't professional, but he was well known in the boxing gyms or something like that, or sparring partners or whatever. Anyway, he had skills. And Bone Crusher Smith, the boxer, he was there. He was one of the judges. Man, we went at it toe-to-toe, me and this guy. And he was beating my ass. I thought, and I was going to put my knee down and say, I'm done with this. And at almost at the 30 seconds of the last round, I decided not to. I got up, off the back of my ropes. I got up off the ropes and I hit him with an uppercut and knocked his mouthpiece out. That's what saved me. And when I won that night, that Friday night, then I came back to Saturday night. I just went through everyone else. He was the toughest guy that I had to fight. But that was it. And I won a jacket. I won a big trophy. It's at my mom's house or whatever. I think it's still there. So, I did a couple of those, and it was interesting.
I think I bought that trophy on eBay last week.
No doubt. It's
I'll just play.
No, it was interesting.
You did have another boxing match, so to speak. I heard about it's well fabled amongst the North Carolina indie scene. All 10 people or so who were there witnessed it in Greenville, North Carolina.
Oh, Greenville.
He took on a guy named Natron Steele.
Ah!
And all right, I'm gonna let you tell us about it, but before you do,
I don't remember. I'm trying to remember. That's what Greenville.
Okay. I mean, most of James's matches are forgettable anyway, so
Oh, where is he? But, is he on? Is he watching?
Yes, I hope so, because I love him. No, really. All jokes aside, and I'll get back to working it again. But all jokes aside, shout out to James Soretti, Natron Steele, one of the nicest, most genuine guys in the world. I love you, man.
Him and his wife. Yes.
You'll never hear me say this again, but I love you, man. If you're watching, don't expect to hear it again. No, he said there were maybe 10 people in attendance, and you guys did a work boxing match. And he said your fists were so fast. He says you were working, but they felt like shoots, like the shots were just coming in fast and furious. And somewhere in all this, maybe this will ring a bell. Somewhere in all this, you stole his valet.
Greenville. I remember, man, my mind be so jacked up right now. I did another podcast and I can't remember half the shit I did. That Greenville. Now that you talk about that Greenville, we did a shoot. I don't know who was that. What promotion was that for? I can't remember what promotion that was for.
That was before my time here. I can't tell you.
I don't remember that.
Great. Know what that means? Now we got to have him on the podcast. I don't want to have him on.
You got to get him on now because I'm trying to remember that one. You know, I know we did a couple of shows at the bar in Greenville. I don't know who was the promoter there, but that's how I do remember doing some matches with him in Durham.
Okay.
At the rodeo, some rodeo jet place or something like that. Him, Scab. How's Scab doing?
I can't tell you that.
Oh, okay. But anyway, yeah, I remember that, but I can't remember that one.
Scab.
Sorry.
Scab was actually wasn't Scab his cousin Rodney? Not familiar?
Yeah. That's I don't know.
He's doing a Project Superhero thing now where they dress up as and James is involved in it too. They dress up like superheroes and go read to kids in hospitals and schools and stuff. Really cool stuff, man.
That's nice, man.
And
that's awesome.
And James Soretti, for those who don't know, he recently wrestled as Jagger in Steve Corino's PWF, and he'll forever let everybody know that he beat Cedric Alexander for the heavyweight title.
Did he really?
Yes, great match. But he'll let you know about it. I'm sure if you ask him.
That's awesome.
But
awesome.
Another famous name from the North Carolina scene I wanted to talk to you about. A guy who's been suffering from COVID. A guy named Count Grog, and we wish him the best.
Yes.
Memories on Count Grog. Any memories of Count?
Oh man, Count. Let me tell you, Grog have really helped push with his promotion alone, even though it was small. But a lot of stars have come through his promotion. A lot. You're talking Greg Helms. You're talking the guys I just mentioned, the Hardy Boys. You talking C.W. Anderson, the legend Rick Link, who was already a legend, but he would be there. You know, Casey McKnight, Dax Harwood. You know, Charlie Hicks. You know, I mean, when Grog had his promotion going at CW, you know, especially King's Bar. Everyone wanted to go there, man. Everyone, you know, it was like I don't know what night it was, Tuesday or Thursday, but man, when Grog did a show, and you won't get paid shit, you know what I mean, $20 or whatever, but it wasn't really about that, you know what I mean. It was just about the camaraderie, man, and being in a locker room with everyone, being backstage, you know, and just wrestling and having fun, man. And that's what I missed. I missed that, you know what I mean, and Grog, he would promote some of the really good shows. I think, you know, not really good, but he would just put shit together. Grog just put shit together. He's like, okay, all right, set up a ring there, and okay, you're gonna wrestle him, you're gonna wrestle him, you're gonna wrestle him. You know, Otto Schwans, you know, Mike Howe, you know, it was just a bunch of guys and girls, man, that wrestling for Raw, everyone would just wrestle for them. They didn't care. They did not care about the money. It was just when you go to King's Bar or wrestle for Raw, you know that, you know, you're just gonna hone your skills. You know, it wasn't about the payday. You're just gonna hone your skills, and I wish him well. Definitely well.
Back then, there was so much talent in the North Carolina scene. We talked about the Omega guys, you know, the Hardy, Shannon Moore,
Caprice Coleman. Yeah, definitely.
Love Caprice Coleman. Then down here on the coast, again, I only moved here 12 years ago, but down here on the coast, you had the Dawsons, you had Casey McKnight, you had Charlie Dreamer, Charlie Hicks, you talked about earlier. So, I mean, North Carolina has been very rich over the years. Did you find that motivated you to get better as a worker, working with guys like that?
Yeah, like I said, when I first started, my stuff was going fast. 2 years in, and then I went to ECW. It was like, so I did some indie shows, and I say indie show, but ECW really was a indie promotion. Really, it was just elevated. But you know, I did a couple of shows in North Carolina, not a lot. And then when I got picked up, when CW and Steve Carino invited me to go to ECW, that's where I spent the last like year and a half, 2 years of my career, pretty much until I went to the military. But yeah, I mean at the time, and then working at the coast WWO with Natron and all those guys. That was good to go down there. Also, you know, they had a nice promotion down there. And there was just some good rolling around. You know, I was glad to be in the locker room, be in matches, like battle royals and stuff like that, with Greg Helms and they had a show on Mount Airy. Someone had a show in Mount Airy. And it was like 3 people in attendance. 3 people, but you had a stacked card in the back. You know, all these guys, and it was Gary. It was Gary, the same guy who helped train me. I think it was his promotion, and we just went out there, man, and we did what we had to do in front of 3 people. You know, and that's like 2 people in the concession and someone else. and so you know, we get out there and we have fun and you know, those are the things that we did, and paying your dues. You know, you go out and you wrestle in front of no one, but you wrestle to the best of your ability, not to hurt someone, not to get hurt, but tell the story so it makes sense in your mind, so that later on it'll help you to get better. And you know, that's the things that we did, and for me, a lot of times I was like a green. I'm telling you, I was so green, man, and so nervous every time I went out. Every time I went out to wrestle, it was like I lose everything. I can't remember nothing that we talked about in the ring. Nothing. You know, I don't know what it was. If I'm in the back, I'm talking about it. Yeah, we going over it. My music hits. I'm like, oh shit. You know, but then thank God that, you know, whoever I'm wrestling pretty much back then, they could walk me through it and help me. Then we improvised, and that's how I learned. And then ECW, I learned so much, you know, working with those guys, Balls Mahoney, New Jack, Sandman, you know, just a bunch of people, you know, and so it helped me out, you know.
Now, do you have one good road story you can give me about traveling with Steve and CW? Keep it kind of clean though, because they're family men, you know.
No, I don't want to go there.
uh,
I don't want to go there. There's no way to keep that clean.
I hear you. So your first ECW television appearance, Steve Carino and Jack Victory are in the ring, and HC Loc is the referee. And then they announce this guy Chili Willy, and here you come dancing to the ring, and then you and HC Loc get into it. Right. So what was your feeling when you? First of all, do you remember what city that was in?
I want to say, you know, I really didn't even remember that until I had a podcast interview with someone else, and they showed it to me. I swear to God, I remember that. I was like, I don't know. I don't even remember my first television appearance, and I had to post it on my Facebook page. I want to say Connecticut. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if that was Danbury, Connecticut, or not. I'm not.
I think
sure.
I was at that show. I'm from Connecticut. And
okay. Was it Connecticut?
I remember, because I think that might have been a TV taping, and I remember it was kind of later, and they had to move everybody hard cam side because there wasn't like enough people for that show in particular. I remember that, but I think you were in one of the first matches, if I remember correctly. I mean, it's so long ago. It's like 20 years ago. I'm trying to remember that. Or
I
close
know.
to it. You know? Yeah.
My mind is like, I swear to God, I did not remember it until the guys showed it to me. And I was like, what? And so I had to post it. But I kind of now, when I see it, I remember me going out there. And I was like, whoa, you know, because I was invited. My first match in ECW was at the Boathouse in Virginia against Julio De Niro.
Yeah.
And so
I remember he was a guy that worked up here regularly for a very long time. In the Northeast. Yeah. He was great.
I don't know why I don't know if WWE ever signed him or not. But anyway, dudes, he had the look, had everything, right? So that first night I wrestled him, you know, like once again, he carried me the whole way, but you know, with my charisma, you know, kind of working in it, it kind of helped out. And then also the Baldies, Angel and DeVito, they wanted to get off the ring crew, so that was their way of saying, "Hey, you want to work with us? We get off the ring crew, you get on the ring crew, and everything is good." So Tommy, that's how Tommy was like, "Yo, if you want to work with us, we would love to have you, but we need you on the ring crew, and you can also wrestle." And so that's how I went to got that match, and I drove all the way there. You know, I would drive everywhere pretty much. Me and Mike Keener, the referee. But that night, I just remember there was a lot of people there. Now that I look back at it, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is real," you know. And I was like, "I'm on TV." I'm like, "What?" And so it was good that I had a little something to do, because Tommy wanted me to be a baby face, of course, which I did. But that night, I think they were running some type of angle with HC or whatever, and they needed heel, but not one of their main guys. And so Tommy said, "Okay, Chili, you're going to be a heel tonight, and you know, you go in there and do your thing with HC." And so that's what happened. But it was fun.
Did you find the locker room cliquish? Because just hearing you talking right now, and you're talking about Carino, Keener, CW, and yourself, you're all kind of intertwined together, and there are always rumors about the New York crew, like, you know, Dreamer and Bubba and those guys. Was it as cliquish as people say?
I wasn't there when Taz and the Dudley Boys was there. I wasn't there. They had just left. They had just moved up to WWE. But yeah, okay, let me put it to you this way. It was cliquish in a way, but we were all family. Because you mess with one, you got to mess with all of us. But you did have your own section. Okay, I hung with the the ring crew guys, and then you had CW. Those guys like CW, Simon Diamond, Johnny Swinger, maybe Steve Carino. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, maybe they hung together. But then you had another crew where you guys had to smoke the weed crew. You know, like Kid Cash and Jazz and all those guys. And then you had your other crew who didn't really do weed. They did the hard shit. You know, you had your hardcore guys, you know, your Sandmans, your New Jacks, your Balls Mahoney. Them motherfuckers was on a different level, man. You know, but we were all, when we got together and we went into the same locker room, it was like I was one of them. It wasn't like, "Hey, Chili, you work on the Rico, go do this, go do that." Nah, they respected us. But if you were not in ECW and you just come in kind of like to be like and they didn't have many of these guys, like what do you call it? My mind is losing. When you have a person come in like
enhancement.
Yeah, you know, like a guy who's come in, wasn't really part of ECW, but he worked that night or something. A jobber. That's what I'm looking for. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We would, oh man, he would catch it. he would catch it, but we didn't have too many of that, going on. We didn't have too many of those, but we did have some sometimes. But then, like I said, all of us, it was like a family affair, man. It was just, we all had our own sections, because we, as the ring crew, we would be in there really putting up the ring, and then the other guys would be coming in, putting down their bags, going over their matches. Well, we still tighten the ropes, putting on the aprons and sweeping and everything, getting everything together. And then your major stars would come in like Rave, like I said, just incredible. And so, but yeah, they would come, hey Chili, come in and do this, come in and do that. That's how I started really learning certain things. And but it was great, man. That was probably one of the best times of my career.
And you kind of got thrown. You kind of got thrown into the mix with some of those crazy guys, Balls and Sandman, because you teamed with them to feud against the Baldies. Now, how was that?
Yeah. I don't know why. I mean, Paul just started throwing me in with those. I was like, yo, you put me in with New Jack, and it wasn't like we were tagging. It was just like maybe I start off a match or whatever. New Jack could come in, with his music, and he just clear the house and. Against the Baldies or whatever, or me and Sandman, I'll be the same situation. Like one time, they did the what was that pay-per-view at the Hammerstein, 34th Massacre, something like that. Anyway,
yeah, 34th Street Massacre.
Yeah. So it was like tag teams match, and I was tagged with Sandman, and so it was like, well, it was weird because I would come out. And people not really know who the fuck I was. Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? The Sandman music hit, boom, his music would hit, and he do the beer thing, and everybody go, wow. So they forget about me, and I'm in the ring with them, you know what I mean? And so, things like that. But then me and Balls, they put me and Balls together with against the Baldies, and we did the thing in Chicago, and Flaming Tables match, and I'm like, yo, I'm in a Flaming Table. I really didn't know any. Here's another thing, guys. I did not know anything about ECW before I went to ECW. Never heard of it. Never even heard of it. Really? CW, Steve Carino, them guys, they were talking about. I'd never seen an episode. Didn't know shit. So anyway, when I got there, and after being there a couple of months, I kind of did my homework. But a Flaming Tables match, I didn't know anything about that. And so, if you watch that pay-per-view where we were at Chicago against the Baldies, I'm not wearing a T-shirt. And so, and I'm like, okay, so who's going, when we're talking about it in the back, I'm thinking I'm going to go through the table because I'm the newbie. I said, fuck, I'm going through the table? And they're like, no, dumbass, you're not going through the table. How are you going to go through the table, Chili, and you're not wearing a T-shirt? I said, So I look at Balls, he's wearing a T-shirt. DeVito's wearing a T-shirt. And Angel's wearing a T-shirt. I'm the only one not wearing a T-shirt. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm not going through the table. So I was like relieved because I was like, man, I'm going to a fucking table and it's on fire and I didn't know how it worked or nothing, And so those were some of the things, man, where, I talked about where I was a greenhorn. I was like really... I'm like a deer watching, headlight coming to you like, oh, because I didn't know. And but Paul would put me in like things with like a Rhino, and me and him had a match. St. Paul, no, not St. Paul, but it was somewhere in Minnesota, the University of Minnesota, and we would do certain things. And I don't know if he was trying to push me at that time. I can't say, but he was putting me in certain situations. And it was climbing, but then the company was going down. So I was like, oh, okay. So I guess he saw something. They saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I had to look. That's one thing I said. I always wanted to be like, Ric Flair, and guys like that, Jimmy Snuka and Ivan Putski, I want to be, And so I said, I'm going to be the guy to wear my tights. But I would wear my knee pads under my knee like Ric Flair, because that was my thing. He's my favorite wrestler. So people say, "Why are you wearing your knee pads under your knee? You're supposed to pull your knee pads up." I said, "No, I know what I'm doing. It's my thing, you know. I'm a Ric Flair guy, you know. I love Ric Flair, so that's what I was doing, you know." But yeah, that was one of the things.
Yeah, I always thought Balls Mahoney was one of the most underrated guys in the business. He was a hell of a worker. He came up with Candido, and I mean, you never got to know Chris Candido, did you?
No, I didn't know him. Nope. I
Another
don't know.
great
I only saw Mike Awesome one time, so I didn't really know him neither. And in all my years, I only saw Taz one time, and never. I think that was the time that they did something together, but they were both gone. They were already in WCW.
They brought him back.
WWE.
Yeah,
Yes,
they brought him
yes,
back
sir.
for one match because
That was
when
it.
Awesome left, he was the champion, and so they pulled him back, and they actually
Right.
brought Taz in to win the beat him for the title really quickly too when they showed it on TV. I think it was
Yeah.
actually at a house show, but they filmed that one match.
Yeah, in Indiana or somewhere weird
Yeah,
like
it was
Something
like
like that. Yeah.
some
Yeah, it was
random
something.
town. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Because also that night, or if it was that night, or the next night, or something like that, I was doing a match, and then Raven also was like, it wasn't tagging with Raven, but it was like he came in and saved me for something or something like that. And so, but that's when I saw Mike Awesome the first time in Taz. I'd never seen him, never met them again. You know.
Now, refresh my memory. Were you there till the very end when they did the last couple shows there? What, down in Arkansas or whatever? Were you there at that point?
No, I didn't go. Was that Bluff?
Okay.
Pine Bluff or something? I didn't go there. No, that's when I knew because Tommy told me because I wasn't in the contract. You know, I was only making $75, man, for putting up the ring, and $75 for wrestling, $140. You know, and I was driving from North Carolina all the way to Pennsylvania to pick up Mike Keener. Pick up Mike Keener from Pennsylvania. We go all the way to Long Island. I drop my car off. Me and him gets in the ring truck, and we go wherever the hell we were supposed to go. In fact, true story, we did that. We did that the whole thing when we went out to California. We was coming back through New Orleans. Me and Mike was driving, coming up from Florida. I was driving the truck at that time on 95, and it was the daytime. My ass fell asleep in the daytime, and I hit those orange barricades or whatever.
Yeah.
So me and Mike is Mike is asleep, you know, and I'm driving. I swear I thought I was doing good. I was like, you know, I'm driving 95. I know this, you know, and something happened, man. I blinked out and I hit the damn thing. I tore up the front part, and they covered it in black. And until the end, you know, they were always ribbing me, you know, Chili, you the one who fucked up the ECW truck. And so yeah, that was one of the things. And so I would bypass North Carolina. Check this out. I'm bypassing North Carolina. Bypassing my home, I would be like, yo, man, Mike, just let me go home and you can just take the truck to fucking Long Island. He'd be like, well, how are you gonna get your car back? Like, oh yeah, damn. So I gotta go all the way up to Long Island. Me and Mike drop the truck off. Me and Mike get into my car. I go to Pennsylvania, drop him off at his house, and then I go from Pennsylvania back to my house in North Carolina. And you guys, you know how far that shit is. That's far. And I was doing that the whole time. I was No, I'm sorry, not the whole time. I was doing that up until after that incident in that last time I crashed the truck because we were coming from California. I think we did a tour out there, and that's when the XPW shit went down. And after that, I started flying. But then
I want to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you for that. Were you there for that XPW thing?
Oh yeah, if you watch the pay-per-view, you will see me. I did a dark match with Billy Wiles.
Okay.
But I wasn't on an actual pay-per-view. We just did dark match. But if you actually look at the time when they stood up, I'm one of the first guys to come out and confront them. Me and some other guys. Yes, they were all sitting
front row. And I read somewhere recently that the situation wasn't nearly as bad as it was made. But I want to know, is that true? Or was it actually as bad as they said? Like it was made up?
It wasn't. it was okay. We like the whole story, of course, was they were talking trash, and then anyway they came and they turned their shirts on backwards, and so the ECW security escorted them out. Well, when they escorted them out, and you could see us come to the ring before they got escorted out, and we were like, "Yo, we're gonna fuck you up, whatever." And so it was just a few of us that went around inside the corridors, ran out the back door, and we caught them on the side of the street in between the Staples Center and the Olympic Stadium or whatever. Right. And the guy who owns it, his limousine was there. And so there was a couple of them, and so it was me, Kid Cash, Balls Mahoney, Tony Mama Luke, Rodney Mack, Big Sal, Balls Mahoney, and I don't know who else, some others. And so we caught some of them, and we beat the shit out of them. It wasn't that bad. It was bad enough that the police came.
Okay.
And dispersed it. And it's bad enough that we got summons to go to. I got summons to go to a couple of months after that or whatever. But we never, I don't know, it got squashed or something like that. But yeah, it was, we did something. We didn't like kill no one like that, but we did beat the fuck out of them. You know what I mean? They can say whoever wasn't there or whatever. They can say what they want to say. I know because I hit a couple of guys. I know for a fact. You know, I stand before God. I know me and Balls was like, God, me and Kid Cash was like, and so that time, you know, and then Paul came out. He came out to try to squash everything, and some people were surrounding him. And I ran over, and I was like, get the fuck back, whatever. And a black police officer, never forget this. He said, you need to calm down. I said, you need to get the... I said something bad to him. I was about to get arrested, I think. And then Paul was like, get inside, Chili, or Tommy, or who... I think, no, Paul was. Get inside, Chili. And that was the day that after that day, that's when I started flying from my home, Raleigh, to whatever shows that was going on in ECW. I still was getting paid $140. But my plane ticket was paid for, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So that's how I know. That's how I remember it. And guys that was on the ring crew, like Marquez and Prodigy, he was like, damn, Chili, how you get to start flying? You know, I've been on ring crew a long time. You just got here. How you get to start flying? I don't know. You should have been out there fighting.
So you think at that point it was kind of like a respect thing? Like, hey, you went to bat for our company, so now we're going to hook you up?
Yeah, because Paul, I'm telling you, Paul was outside because Tommy was still inside, I think, because I think he was getting ready to do that match or something. And I want to say Tommy, PJ, Francine, and I forgot who else. But anyway, they were inside getting ready to do the match. That's when it all started. So Paul came out to see what was going on and try to tell us to get back in. But someone was surrounding him. I don't know if they weren't really trying to hit Paul or anything like that, but I didn't know who they were. And I ran over there, me and I want to say the rest of us, and we was like, yo, what the fuck? And something like that. And Paul's like, get inside, because the police started coming and everything. And after that, that's when he talked to Tommy right in front of my face. He said, this guy right here is a fucking whatever. So he's a fucking great guy or whatever. I don't know what he said. But all I know, I was flying after that. After I drove that truck all the way back and crashed it. Then I thought I wasn't going to fly. I was like, oh, shit, I fucked up.
Maybe that's why you were flying, because they didn't want you to drive the truck anymore.
Wasn't that Dreamer's truck? Didn't Dreamer own the truck?
I don't know, but they were like, Chili.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to part 1 of our interview with former ECW superstar Chili Willy. Make sure you tune in to part 2 next week.